Sexual energy and money are the same currency. Nikola Tesla knew this. The ancient Taoists knew this. Egyptian priests built an entire civilization on it. And you were made to believe that wealth is created through hard work, so you would never activate your inner factory. This factory runs every night, inside every person on the planet, no exceptions. It produces the most powerful fuel that exists in the human body. And the difference between those who wake up drained, invisible to opportunity, and those who wake up magnetic, pulling money and people toward them like gravity, comes down to one thing they do differently in the last hour before sleep. Not meditation, not journaling, and definitely not what the internet keeps telling you. Just stop watching porn and your life will change. That's not what this is. This is about a gland in the center of your brain that most people's doctors have never once mentioned to them. About a nighttime window that opens between 1 and 3 a.m., and about one habit that takes 15 minutes. Tesla practiced this every night for decades and spoke about it openly in his autobiography. The world read it and ignored it. Stay until the end. What you learn today will change what you do every night for the rest of your life. Nikola Tesla, the man who invented alternating current, radio, remote control, the man whose patents built the entire 20th century, had one habit that almost nobody talks about. Every evening before falling asleep, he would close his eyes and start building. Not on paper, in his mind. In his autobiography, My Inventions, he wrote that he learned to see his devices in his mind with such precision that he could mentally start a motor, let it run for a week, then take it apart and check every component for wear, and the parts would be exactly as he later found them during actual disassembly. He claimed that his major breakthroughs didn't come at his desk.
They came in those seconds between waking and sleep, when consciousness hadn't yet shut down, but the body had already begun to sink. He described these as flashes, like lightning, in which a complete invention appeared to him whole in every detail in a single moment. And here's the detail everyone misses. Tesla never married. He said all his energy had to go into his work. That was his personal choice, and I am not suggesting you repeat it. This video is not about giving up sex, not about being alone, not about semen retention. Forget all of that. The point is something else entirely. Tesla understood something that most people still don't. Sexual energy and creative power are the same thing. The same energy that creates new life can create ideas, inventions, businesses, wealth. The question isn't whether to spend it or not. The question is where you direct it. Tesla directed his into inventions. His friendship with Swami Vivekananda, the great Indian mystic who came to America in 1893, reinforced this understanding. Vedic philosophy said the same thing. Consciously directed sexual energy transforms into ojas, radiant creative power. Not denial of energy, mastery of it. You can have a partner. You can have a sex life. The ancient Taoists, who we'll discuss shortly, had both. But they did one thing differently. They were conscious about how and when they used this energy, and especially what they did with it in the last hour before sleep. A man who worked over 80 hours straight without a break, who held more than 300 patents, who claimed to sleep just 2 to 3 hours a night and was still sharper, faster, and more productive than everyone around him. He wasn't on stimulants. He wasn't a genetic mutant. He simply knew what to do with the energy that other people were draining every single night without even noticing. But when exactly does this fuel transform into power? At what moment does the body perform the transmutation?
This is where it gets interesting. In the center of your brain sits a gland the size of a grain of rice, the pineal gland. René Descartes, one of the greatest philosophers in Western history, called it the principal seat of the soul. He believed it was the single point where the physical body and the spiritual self intersect. Modern science has confirmed something remarkable about this gland. It produces melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep. But it only produces melatonin in complete darkness. The moment light hits your eyes, even the faint blue glow of a phone screen, melatonin production drops. The factory shuts down. And here is the connection that changes everything. The pineal gland doesn't just produce melatonin. According to some research, it also produces trace amounts of DMT, dimethyltryptamine, a compound associated with profound states of consciousness, vivid dreams, and what researchers carefully describe as non-ordinary states of awareness. And the pineal gland has a direct hormonal relationship with your reproductive system. Melatonin regulates gonadotropins, the hormones that control your sexual organs. In children, high melatonin levels actually suppress sexual development. The pineal gland is literally the bridge between your sexual energy and your higher brain function. Tesla didn't know about melatonin. He didn't know about gonadotropins, but he intuitively found the same pathway through conscious energy management, through nightly visualization, through that borderline state between sleep and waking that neuroscience today calls the hypnagogic window. He used this pathway every night, and every morning he woke up with inventions that changed the world. And do you know who mapped this exact same pathway 2,000 years before Tesla? The Taoist masters of ancient China. They called sexual energy Jing, essence, life force. And they precisely described that the body has a rhythm, a manufacturing rhythm. Like a factory running on a weekly schedule. Days 1 through 3, the body gathers raw materials. It accumulates nutrients, hormones, minerals, building inventory. Days 4 through 6, the body refines. It converts raw material into concentrated essence. This is when you start to feel something shifting, more clarity, more focus, more presence. Day 7, the furnace ignites. The body takes everything it has accumulated and sends it upward through the spinal column toward the brain. But here's the part nobody talks about. This firing happens at night, during sleep. Approximately between 1 and 3 a.m., what Chinese medicine calls the hour of the liver, the time when the body performs its deepest internal work. Your body doesn't just produce this energy at random. It produces it on a schedule, and it activates it while you sleep. This is not mysticism. This is biology wearing ancient clothes. The Taoists didn't have electron microscopes. They didn't have hormonal assays. But they mapped this exact pathway from the sexual organs up the spine through the mud pill palace, their name for the pineal gland, and into the crown of the head 2,000 years ago. They called it the microcosmic orbit, and they said, if you want to activate this pathway, there is one rule you must never break. What you do in the last hour before sleep determines whether the factory produces gold or garbage. Before I give you the habit, I need to show you the 5 ways most people destroy this process every single night. Because the habit won't work if you're still bleeding energy. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a bathtub. Every night, your body fills that bathtub with warm, concentrated, creative energy.
sexual energy that has been refined all day. By midnight, the tub is full. By 1 a.m., the body is ready to send that energy upward. But most people have 5 holes in their bathtub. The water drains out before it ever reaches the level it needs to reach.
Leak number 1. Screens after 10 p.m. This isn't about willpower. This is about chemistry. The blue light from your phone, your laptop, your television, it passes through your retina and sends a direct signal to your suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock in your brain. That clock tells your pineal gland, it's still daytime, don't produce melatonin yet. The result? The factory that should be running at full capacity at 1 a.m. doesn't even start until 2 or 3 a.m. By the time your body tries to move energy upward, you're already in light sleep. The window is closed. Ancient Egyptian priests in their temples understood this intuitively. Their only source of light after sunset was oil lamps, warm amber light that doesn't disturb the body the way bright white light does. They didn't know about blue light wavelengths, but they knew one thing: the quality of the darkness determines the quality of the transformation. Leak number 2. Eating within 3 hours of sleep. When you eat late, your body diverts blood and energy to your digestive system. The liver, which the Taoists considered the storehouse of Jing, spends the night processing food instead of refining energy. This is why the hour of the liver, 1 to 3 a.m., is so critical in Chinese medicine. If your liver is busy digesting the pizza you ate at 11 p.m., it cannot do its alchemical work. The raw material sits there unrefined, wasted. The Taoists had a saying, "Those who eat after sunset feed the body. Those who fast after sunset feed the spirit." They weren't being poetic. They were being precise. Leak number 3. Emotional chaos before bed. Arguments, scrolling through social media that makes you angry or jealous, news that fills you with fear, worrying about money, about relationships, about tomorrow. Every one of these emotional states triggers cortisol, the stress hormone. And cortisol is the direct antagonist of the sexual creative energy system. When cortisol is high, testosterone drops. When cortisol is high, melatonin production is suppressed. When cortisol is high, the body goes into survival mode, and survival mode doesn't build wealth. It burns reserves. The Egyptian book of Coming Forth by Day, what most people call the Book of the Dead, describes the soul's nightly journey. Before the soul can rise upward, it must pass through a series of guarded gates, and to pass, the soul must be clean, free of heaviness. This is not a metaphor. This is what cortisol does to your pineal gland. Fear, anger, resentment, they lock the gates, physically, chemically. Leak number 4. Sexual release without intention. This needs to be precise because this is where most videos on this topic get it wrong. The problem is not sex. The problem is not orgasm. The problem is unconscious release. Mindless scrolling that leads to arousal, that leads to release, that leads to sleep. No intention, no direction, no purpose. The Taoist masters practiced what they called Fang Zhong Shu, the arts of the bedchamber. They had sex lives, they had partners, they experienced pleasure, but they were conscious about when and how they released energy. The difference between an alchemist and an ordinary person is not abstinence. It is intention. When you release energy unconsciously right before sleep, you drain the bathtub right before the factory was about to use it. All the raw material that was being accumulated, refined, prepared for the nightly ascent, gone, drained,
and your body has to start the 7-day cycle all over again. Leak number 5. Sleeping in light. This one is so simple that most people dismiss it, but it might be the most important. Your pineal gland needs complete darkness to function at full capacity. Not dim light, not pretty dark. Complete, total, absolute darkness. Any light, the LED on your charger, the glow of a street lamp through thin curtains, the standby light on your television, sends a signal that disrupts melatonin production. Research from Harvard Medical School has shown that even dim light during sleep reduces melatonin output by more than 50%. Half of your nightly activation gone because of a tiny green LED across the room. The ancient Egyptians didn't have LEDs, but their sleeping chambers in the temples were built underground. No windows, no light sources, absolute darkness. And the priests who slept in those chambers reported visions, downloads of information, creative solutions to problems, what they described as communication with the gods. They weren't communicating with gods. They were experiencing what happens when the pineal gland operates at 100% capacity, in complete darkness, without interference. Now, stop for a moment and check yourself. How many of these 5 leaks do you have right now, tonight? Be honest. If you have even 2 of these 5, you are losing more creative energy every single night than most people produce in a week. Now you understand the factory. You understand the leaks. Here is the habit. The ancient Taoists called it sealing the 5 gates before sleep. The Egyptians called it the rite of the evening Ka. In both traditions, the core practice is identical, and it takes less than 15 minutes. The habit has 3 parts. Part 1, the seal. 5 minutes. 60 minutes before you intend to sleep, you close the inputs. Screens off, not dimmed, off. Every device goes face down or into another room. This is non-negotiable. If you think you can do this practice while checking just one more message, you cannot. The practice requires darkness to approach you gradually, like a tide coming in. Screens are walls against that tide. Then you sit, on the edge of your bed or in a chair. Spine straight, not rigid, just upright. And you do one thing. You place both hands on your lower abdomen, about 2 inches below the navel. The Taoists called this point the Dan Tian, the elixir field. In the Egyptian tradition, the lower abdomen was also considered the seat of life force. Different cultures, different centuries, but all pointing to the same spot. This is where sexual energy is stored in its raw form. And you breathe, slowly. In through the nose, filling the belly so your hands rise. Out through the nose, letting the belly fall. 5 minutes. That's it. But here's what makes this different from just breathe deeply before bed. On each inhale, you feel the warmth in your lower abdomen. You're not imagining it. You're not visualizing light or colors. You are paying attention to what is already there. And something is there. You will feel warmth, or a pulse, or a tingling, or a heaviness. It's subtle at first, but it's there. This is Jing. This is the raw material. On each exhale, you don't push it anywhere. You don't try to send it up your spine. You simply seal it. You hold the attention there. You say to your body, silently, without words, I see you. I know what you're building. And tonight, I'm going to let you finish. That's part 1. 5 minutes. Hands on belly. Breathe. Feel. Seal. Part 2. The instruction. 3 minutes. This is the part that separates ancient alchemy from modern breathwork. After you've sealed the energy, you give it a direction. The Taoists wrote that Jing without intention is like water without a riverbed. It spreads everywhere and goes nowhere. The Egyptians said that Ka, vital energy, must be given a name before it can travel. Here is what you do. You ask yourself one question. What is the one thing I want to create? Not a list, not 5 goals, not I want to be rich and healthy and find my soulmate. One thing. The most important thing. The thing that, if it manifested, would change everything else. And you don't visualize it. This is important. Do not close your eyes and imagine a car or a house or a pile of money. That's not what this practice does.
Instead, you feel what it would feel like to already have it in your body. What does your chest feel like? What does your posture feel like? What does your face feel like? The muscles around your eyes, your jaw, your lips. You are not imagining a future. You are rehearsing a state of being. And you hold that state for 3 minutes. While your hands are still on your lower abdomen, while the warmth is still there. What you're doing, in scientific terms, is linking an emotional and somatic state to the period just before sleep. You are programming your subconscious mind with a specific instruction at the exact moment when your pineal gland is beginning to ramp up melatonin production. Neuroscience calls this the hypnagogic window, the transition zone between wakefulness and sleep. During this window, your brain waves shift from beta, active thinking, to alpha, relaxed awareness, to theta, deep subconscious access. Your brain becomes extraordinarily suggestible. Whatever emotional state you carry into that window gets encoded into your subconscious as a program that runs all night. Most people carry anxiety, worry, or the last thing they saw on their phone into this window. And then they wonder why they wake up tired and their life doesn't change. You are going to carry the feeling of what you want to create. The warmth in your dantian. The instruction. 3 minutes. Feel it. Hold it. Let it sink. Part 3. The darkness. 7 minutes, or until sleep. Now you lie down, in complete darkness, and you do something counterintuitive. You stop trying. You don't continue visualizing. You don't keep breathing in any special pattern. You don't try to send energy up your spine. You let go completely. Why? Because the factory doesn't need your conscious mind to run. In fact, your conscious mind gets in the way. The Taoists called this Wu Wei, effortless action, the practice of doing by not doing. You've sealed the energy. You've given it direction. Now you hand it over to the part of you that knows how to build. As you fall asleep, your pineal gland takes over. Melatonin floods your system. Your brain drops into delta waves, the deepest, most regenerative state. And in that state, the energy you sealed in your dantian begins to move. It moves up through what the Taoists called the dumai, the governing vessel along the spine. It passes through the kidneys, willpower, the heart, intention, the throat, expression, and reaches the Niwan, the mud pill palace, the pineal gland. And there, in complete darkness, in complete silence, in complete surrender, the raw sexual energy is transmuted, refined, converted into what the Taoists called Shen, spirit energy. creative power. The kind of energy that makes people look at you and feel something they can't explain. The Egyptians had a nearly identical map. They called this pathway the Djed Pillar, the backbone of Osiris. They believed that at night, the vital Ka traveled upward through the Djed to meet the Ba, the soul in the third eye. And when Ka and Ba united during sleep, the person woke up with Heka, magical power, the ability to speak things into existence, to attract what they needed, to bend reality. Tesla understood this too. He practiced what he called mental inventions, holding a complete image of his devices in his mind as he fell asleep, then allowing his subconscious to work on them all night. In his autobiography, he wrote that he could mentally start a motor, let it run for a week, take it apart, and find traces of wear, and they matched reality. His breakthroughs came in that exact window this practice targets, between sleep and waking. The habit is simple: 15 minutes, 3 parts. Seal, instruct, surrender. But the results compound, and this is the part nobody talks about. Now, I want to show you why exactly 7 days. The Taoists knew. Tesla felt it. But in 2003, science measured it.
Researchers at Zhejiang University took 28 men and measured testosterone levels every day during a period of abstinence. The first 6 days, almost nothing changed. Flat, flat, flat. And then came day 7. Testosterone spiked to 145.7% of baseline, nearly 1.5 times normal levels, in a single day. And after that, it dropped back down and never rose again, even when the men continued to abstain for weeks. The peak happened once, on day 7, and disappeared. Everyone who talks about semen retention online grabbed this study and shouted, "Don't ejaculate for 7 days." But they missed the most important part. They didn't ask, why day 7? Why not day 3? Why not day 10? Because the body works in cycles. The Taoists knew this. The 7-day Jing cycle is not a metaphor. It's the manufacturing rhythm of your body. And that spike on day 7 is the moment the furnace ignites and sends everything it accumulated upward. But the spike happens only once, because without practice, the energy doesn't know where to go. It rises, finds no channel, and dissipates. That's why the researchers only saw a 1-day peak. Now imagine the energy has a channel, that every night you sealed, instructed, and surrendered, that the pineal gland was operating in complete darkness, that the subconscious received the same instructions 7 times. Here is what happens when you practice this habit every night for 7 consecutive days. Nights 1 and 2. Your body notices something has changed. The bathtub isn't leaking anymore. Energy that was being drained every night through screens, late eating, unconscious release, stress, and light pollution, that energy starts to accumulate. You might feel restless. You might have vivid dreams. This is normal. The factory is testing the new conditions. Nights 3 and 4. The accumulation becomes noticeable. You wake up differently, not just rested, charged. There's a warmth in your body that wasn't there before.
Your eyes are clearer. Your voice is deeper. People start reacting to you differently, and they don't know why. You don't know why. It's the Jing. It's building. Nights 5 and 6. This is where most people quit. Because the energy builds to a point where it becomes uncomfortable. You'll feel restless, agitated, intensely aroused. Your body is screaming at you to release, because that's what it's been trained to do for years. Every night, drain the tub.
Every night, start over. But if you hold, if you keep doing the three-part practice, if you seal, instruct, and surrender for 6 nights. Night 7. The furnace ignites. That 145.7% testosterone spike the researchers measured, this is what it is. The body has accumulated 7 nights of refined energy. The pineal gland has had 7 nights of uninterrupted operation in complete darkness. The subconscious mind has received the same instructions 7 times in the hypnagogic window. And on night 7, the system reaches critical mass. You may have the most vivid dream of your life. You may wake up at 3 a.m. with an idea so clear and so complete that you have to write it down immediately. You may feel a physical sensation, a tingling or buzzing that moves from the base of your spine to the top of your head. Or you may feel nothing unusual at all, but notice that over the next 48 hours, opportunities start appearing. A phone call, an email, a conversation with a stranger, a thought that leads to an action that leads to money. This is not magic. This is what happens when you stop hemorrhaging your creative energy every night and start compounding it. The Taoists had a word for a person who completed this cycle. Ne Dan, internal alchemist. Someone who had learned to turn lead into gold inside their own body. And the beautiful thing? You don't stop at 7 days. You can run 7-day cycles back to back. Each cycle, the baseline rises. The factory gets more efficient. The channels get clearer.
The energy moves faster and with more precision. After 4 cycles, 28 days, you will not recognize yourself. Not because you've become someone new, but because you've stopped wasting what you always had. Something needs to be said here that almost nobody in this space says. Everything that has been said so far was filtered through a masculine lens. Testosterone spikes, semen retention, jing preservation. That's important, but it's only half the picture. If you are a woman watching this, your alchemy is not a smaller version of what was just described. It is an entirely different element. In the Taoist tradition, male sexual energy is fire. It needs to be contained and directed upward. Female sexual energy is water. It needs to be deepened and circulated. The female 7-day cycle is different. It doesn't spike the same way. Instead, it builds in waves, connected not to testosterone, but to the lunar cycle and the hormonal rhythm of estrogen, progesterone, and oxytocin. But the bedtime practice works the same way for women. Here's why. The 5 leaks are identical. Screens destroy pineal function in women exactly as they do in men. Late eating disrupts the liver's work equally. Emotional chaos floods cortisol the same way, and sleeping in light cuts melatonin production by the same 50%. The 3-part practice is identical too. Seal, instruct, surrender. Hands on the lower abdomen. The warmth, the instruction, the darkness. But here is where it gets different. And this is the part that makes every woman who hears it rethink everything. The Taoists taught that the female dantian doesn't just store energy, it generates it, continuously. Like a spring that never runs dry if it's not being drained. And the biggest drain for most women is not sexual release, it's emotional giving without return. The relationship where she gives and gives until she's an empty shell. The friendships where she absorbs everyone else's problems. The habit of saying yes when her entire body is screaming no. The guilt of resting. The shame of wanting something for herself. Every one of these is a leak in the bathtub. And for many women, these leaks drain more energy than anything sexual ever could. So, for a woman, the sealing part of the practice isn't just about closing the inputs of screens and food and light. It's about sealing the emotional exits. Setting a boundary, even if only internally, even if only for the night, that says, for the next 8 hours, my energy belongs to me. The ancient priestesses of Isis in Egypt practiced a version of this every night. In the Egyptian tradition, a person was made of several parts: Ba, the soul; Ka, vital energy; Sekem, power. Before sleep, the task was one: gather all parts into a whole. Don't wait for someone else to put you together. Don't give pieces of yourself away until morning. Simply say to yourself, I am whole. Not, I am whole because someone loves me. Not, I am whole because I helped everyone today. Just, I am whole. Try saying that tonight, in the dark, with your hands on your belly, and feel what happens in your body when you allow yourself to believe it. Let me tell you what happens after 90 days of this practice, because I want you to understand what you're building toward. After 90 days, roughly 13 7-day cycles, 3 things will have changed. First, your sleep will become something you look forward to, not something you collapse into. You will begin to experience sleep as a creative act, a time when your body and mind do their most important work. You will wake up with ideas, solutions, clarity that you did not have when you closed your eyes. Second, your presence will change. People will notice. They will feel something when they are near you that they cannot name. It's not confidence, though you will feel more confident. It's not attractiveness, though you will appear more attractive. It's coherence.
Every part of your system will be running in the same direction for the first time, and other people's nervous systems can feel coherence. They are drawn to it, the way cold is drawn to warmth. Third, money will move toward you. Not because you wished for it, not because you chanted an affirmation, but because you will have the energy, the clarity, and the creative power to see opportunities that were always there, and to act on them without hesitation. Wealth is not attracted by desire. It is attracted by capacity. And capacity is built every night, in the dark, in silence, 15 minutes at a time. This is what the Egyptian priests knew. This is what the Taoist masters practiced. This is what Tesla did alone in his room 3327 at the New Yorker Hotel, building inventions in his mind before sleep, letting his subconscious work through the night. And this is what you're going to do tonight. Here is your assignment. Tonight, not tomorrow, not when I'm ready, tonight. 1. Choose a time to start. 1 hour before your intended sleep time. 2. Put your phone in another room, not on silent, in another room. 3. Make your bedroom dark. Cover every lead, close every curtain. If you can see your hand in front of your face, it's not dark enough. 4. Sit on the edge of your bed, hands on your lower belly. Breathe for 5 minutes. Feel the warmth. 5. Ask, what is the one thing I want to create? Feel it in your body for 3 minutes. 6. Lie down. Let go. Sleep. That's it. 1 night, 15 minutes. And here is what I ask. Write in the comments right now. How many of the 5 leaks did you find in yourself? And which one will you close first? Tonight. Not tomorrow, not someday. Tonight. And after 7 nights, come back and tell us what changed, what you felt, what came to you, what dream you had, what idea appeared, what person called. These comments are read, Every single one.
And I want this comment section to become a place where, a month from now, people come not just to read, but to see proof that this works. Start tonight. Write right now. The portal doesn't open on a date in the sky. The portal opens every night. Inside you. In the dark. You just never knew how to walk through it. See you on the other side.